For all of you who have been following me, I've been working really hard this past year on documenting for this deep cultural Hawaiian project. Followers around the world, and especially Pacific Islanders across Oceania, this project is very important prior to my trip, and I'm going to explain why in a separate TikTok. But as I've shared small snippets of this project, there is actually a lot behind this project that I haven't shared yet, which is why I want to update all of you on where I'm at with this project and where I have been, because this project is soon to come to a close. For additional context, just like I did in Palau, I documented every important aspect and element that makes up cultural Hawaii, the real Hawaii with real Hawaiians. Before I dive into where I've been, this is what I need now to finish the project. I already have people in mind for this, but I'm working on hula, which is a very vital element to cultural Hawaii. Of course, I have in mind a kumu hula, a wahine dancer, and I kind of have in mind a kane dancer. But anybody who's up to talk story with me, hit me up. I'm looking to connect with a keiki or teenager who speaks fluent Hawaiian to do on-camera translations between me and that person. And the reason why I have that idea is to promote the concept that the next generation is very vital in continuing on traditions, including language and way of life. I'll break that down in another TikTok. With a caretaker of a fish pond, which I already have in mind, potentially connecting with a master navigator and crew of a wa'a, who's continued the legacy of Mao. Again, all of these, I already have people in mind, but if you would love to be a part of this project, no questions asked, definitely let me know. But I've completed on this journey, connected with many speakers of Aloha Hawaii, from basic speakers to people who are wanting and trying to learn, to fluent speakers, those who have learned in recent years, to those who grew up with the language, including Ni'ihawan. I have a segment on Malama aina, which includes Kalo Farming. I've documented some on Kako'oiwi, Ho'okua aina, including poi milling, and some time at the farm at Hakipu'u, including footage of Ku'ikalo. This year I took a few inter-island trips to Molokai, Big Island, and Kauai. And those trips were to meet with some Hawaiians I had in mind to document their story, but also to be immersed in those islands to tell the unique story within those islands, because each island is different and has a different story. Yeah? In that, I had the opportunity to dive a little more, talking with different people, including kupuna. Speaking of kupuna, I've asked questions from the next generation to the older generation that weaves together into why those two work together. Learning from kupuna and kupuna passing on their knowledge to the next generation, if that makes sense. Let me not forget also the ahupua'a. Told you this was deep. I've documented some on the Hawaiian Sovereignty movement, including spending time at Pu'uhonua Waimanalo, the nation of Hawaii. I've documented some on land back and what that means and what the goal is for land back. Some on Hawaiian Homesteads and the reality behind Hawaiian Homesteads. Documented some on the tragic reality of Hawaiian displacement and why Hawaiians leave the islands, including the less talked about reality of Hawaiians that come back with Hawaiian diaspora. Again, this project goes deep, and I knew it would, but this is exactly the perfect example of what I do as a content creator, as a traveler, and what's rooted in my curiosity to learn. Everything that comes after, my camera, my gear, my drone, that comes later. Those are the tools to share what I learned. I say this confidently and respectfully that I don't think there have been very many people, or to lack thereof, been able to tell this story on behalf of Hawaiians and through Hawaiians in the way that I'm putting this together for Hawaiians. This hasn't been the easiest project to work on, as it is very emotional with a lot of realities to talk about and share. But along the way, I have learned a lot, not just with the technicalities, but in how I share respectfully, which is going back to why I said this project is very crucial prior to my Pacific Island trip. Outside of those interactions with Hawaiians, I do have a couple of ideas as far as telling the story and how I plan to tell this story and how I plan to weave my story here and learning into this. Now, I never like to get ahead of myself in something that I'm working on and haven't finished yet, but I can see ahead of time and just how the natural course of this journey has been with this project, that this is going to be a heavy video, but it's definitely a story that needs to be told. because there are a lot of Hawaiians that are counting on it to help contribute to extending their voices and realities on these islands. Often, the outside world looks at these islands as this one-dimensional space of beauty, mountains, beaches, but no one actually gives a shit to take a second that despite the minority on here, Native Hawaiians are still here. And they very much are they're the most important element to these islands. And this video, despite all the deep elements that make up Hawaii, is going to best represent that in a beautiful way. It's going to be an emotional journey editing, but I can't wait to share.